So you're lacking self-confidence. You feel weak. You have that constant negative spiraling thoughts that are going on in your head, that constant battle that goes on in your head that always brings you down, that always makes you lose belief, and is the thing that kind of keeps you tied into your room. You have friends, but you don't really have strong bonds with them. You don't really have a real strong bond with your friends. You wish you did. Every time you try, someone always lets you down, and then you generally become nihilistic about the bonds you can form outside your family, and your family are the only ones you can really trust. And even then, that's not fulfilling enough. You always yearn for more, even though you tell yourself that's enough. Just generally, you just don't feel fulfilled. You have this potential that you don't feel you're able to tap, and self-confidence is lacking, completely devoid. You're too modest, and you don't care about yourself enough. So you're watching this video maybe because you think, actually, a bit of self-confidence would be good, but it's not my priority. Though it should be. It should be one of your major priorities for the reasons why you want to get stronger. For the actual goals that you may have that may not have anything to do with yourself, self-confidence is an integral part to whatever you want to do. Now, this video is a very quick introduction video. It's a very high-level video on why self-confidence is really important. It will be the pinnacle piece to all the topics I'm going to discuss further on this channel. But it's the center point. You have to have self-confidence in order to solve many other issues that we're going to talk about. So I'm going to do a very brief description of why self-confidence is important. And it's not just the same old crap that the motivational speakers tell you, about, self-confidence is great, so then you can have, you can achieve your goals, you can have a fulfilling life, you can be happy, you can have good friends, etc., etc. They're all true, but it's not the major priority. It's not the reason. It's not how you become more self-confident, and it's not why. There is a greater how and why. And these motivational speakers that you see, they're right. There's logic to them, and you come out of it and you go, that was quite inspirational, and you feel the motivation for a week and then it dies down. That's just how it always happens. You feel motivation, and then after a week it's just gone, and you're just like, well, I'm back to normal. Nothing's majorly changed. I'm just going to carry on dawdling through life. Because at the end of the day, people don't seem to like themselves enough to actually make that change that they want to. They don't. The motivation of trying to improve oneself isn't enough. It's not sustainable for them. Usually in a position where you don't have self-confidence, it's because you don't value yourself enough, and therefore when you don't value yourself enough, you're not willing to make those changes to make yourself more self-confident. That's where this comes in. Now, the real reason, and once you realize this, it's very empowering to the point of where you want to become more self-confident. The real reason you want to become more self-confident is not predominantly for yourself, but it is for the most important people around you, your family, your close friends. Because if you are weak, if you have no self-confidence, if you have constant levels of negative characteristics, and one of your close family or friends in life are going through a difficult time, how the hell are you going to help them through that difficult time when you yourself are weak? When they are weak, when they're down on their knees, how the hell are you going to help them when you are incompetent of helping them in these certain situations? They may be feeling depressed. You're depressed as well. You may be able to share the same pain as them, which is nice, but at the same time, you have no real way to actually help them up. Because, you may offer consoling words of, it's going to be okay, it will be fine, things always get better, etc., etc. But you yourself know you don't believe in those words. They're just lazy, easy words to say. There's not really any meaning or any help in them at all. Everyone in life, even the strongest people, have those moments of weakness. But it's the matter of who you surround yourself with, so that when you are weak, people can pick you up, and vice versa. That when they are weak, you are in a position of strength to help them. So the major purpose of self-confidence is to become strong enough so that when the closest people in your life are weak, you have the capability and the strength to help them up. And then when you're weak, they will come to your aid. You've made them stronger. It's a journey that you go through together with the most important people in your life. And you are there for each other in the most difficult times, and you progress together. That is the most important reason for self-confidence. It's not for yourself, it's for those people around you. And when you start to try and change yourself, and it's not for your sake, but it's for the sake of people around you, then you will realize it becomes so much easier to motivate yourself to do it. So much easier. Because sometimes a lot of the time we seem to value those around us a lot more than we value ourselves. But that means you have to start taking yourself as a priority a bit more than you have been. And for a lot of the modest people out there, a lot of the very conscious and empathetic people, the idea of becoming selfish or doing anything selfish is quite unattractive. It's quite irksome. It feels unnatural. It feels wrong. I experienced that as well. I know that feeling of, I always hated narcissists and people who were overly self-confident, and the idea of kind of concentrating on myself for a bit was just alien to me. And I'll delve into that more in a video where we go into this in a lot more detail, because to touch on this topic of self-confidence in about 15 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes, is near impossible. Because if it was that easy to completely finish off the conversation in 10-15 minutes, then it wouldn't be such a contentious and hard issue. But keeping it high level, keeping it brief. You then have justification for being selfish from time to time, because the reason for being selfish is you're going, I'm going to try and make myself stronger. I'm going to prioritize myself in this moment so I can make myself stronger. So then, with me being a stronger person, I can help those closest around me. And therefore, it's unselfish selfishness. It's not as bad as you thought. When you do stuff for yourself and solely yourself, then that's full-on selfish narcissism. But this bit of, you know what, in this moment, I'm going to prioritize myself so I can make myself stronger, that is fine. It's completely fine justification. You shouldn't feel guilty about doing that. You know, you need to work on yourself. You need to make yourself a stronger person. You need to realize that you have certain negative characteristics, and you need to go, okay, these are my weaknesses, and this is how you don't even need to, at first, at a base level, you don't even need to think about how you're gonna deal with those characteristics, but just know that, you know, for example, I may be jealous, or I may be impatient, or I may be very emotionally charged, and I know these things aren't good, and I need to improve on them. That thought alone of you just identifying your weakness and going, it needs to be improved, is more than enough as a starting point. Because then you've kind of set a goal, and without even realizing, you will try and naturally orientate towards that. At a base level, just do that. Now, what happens if you don't? And why it's so damaging as well. This is another reason why self-confidence is so important. Because those who aren't self-confident tend to have a lot of negative characteristics about themselves. They have a lot of anxieties, a lot of fears, etc. And then they go, well, you know, I have all these anxieties and these fears and these negative characteristics, but, you know, I don't have much meaning in my life. I don't have much effect on people, you know, so if I went and locked myself in my room, nothing would change, nothing would matter. I'm not going to affect anyone, you know, I have no responsibility to other people. Therefore, how I feel is inconsequential. That alone is just so wrong. You do not realize how much effect you have on people around you. Even if you feel that you're so antisocial that you have little to no people in your life, even the one person is enough in your life to realize that actually your negative characteristics are doing a lot more damage than you think. Okay? If you are a person who lacks in trust, and you go, I can only trust people within my family, and that's not going to damage many people, you think, you know, because at the end of the day, I don't have too many people close to me, so the fact that I don't trust people outside my family, not going to have a big difference. But you may come across some people in your early childhood, etc., where that journey to the point where you don't trust anyone, you've experienced that with other people, and you at one point might have had a lack of trust in someone, or betrayed their trust, or it hasn't been reciprocal, and without realizing, you've affected that other person in ways that you don't realize you have. Okay? The fact that you have a characteristic of lack of trust to the core, you are giving tacit consent, tacit approval of that negative characteristic. And that spreads to other people around you. You pathologize the people around you. If you live a pathological life where you have all of these negative characteristics, you pathologize the people around you, and you start to pathologize society. And when enough people do that, that makes society a very bad place to live. You are on the wrong side of the fight. You are everything that you may hate about this world, all the things that society may make you feel angry about, they all come from these pathological, pessimistic individuals. And you are on the same side of those people that you hate. You are contributing to the problem. Every single characteristic you have, negative, that you don't work on, you are legitimizing it. It manifests itself into society. Every single person. Your actions, or should I say lack of actions, has more of an impact than you think. You have a responsibility to the people around you. It ties in to the most important people. It ties in. Therefore, you have to realize that I need to deal with these things. I need to become a stronger person. I need to become more self-confident so that you don't create the society even more hellish than the vision of society you have already. Because if you don't care about yourself enough, etc., and you don't care that you may be this, you know, crappy character, you think because nothing matters, well, fine, okay, go and cry in your room, go and play the victim character that, you know, you've been dealt a bad card, you know, you've had a rough childhood and everything's just crap, you are just really unlucky and stuff like that. Okay, whatever. If you want to do that, fine. But know that when you do this, you are also affecting people around you. And you are making the hell that you so despise. That's why you need to become stronger. It's fine to prioritize yourself a bit so that you are at least on the right side. You are on the side in which you are working towards a stronger version of yourself. And just as the way in which negative characteristics have an effect on people, and they ripple out into the closest people into you and into society, it's like a chain reaction. And you don't realize the effect that it has on other people. So I keep saying, you know, that one person that you may have affected with lack of trust it will carry on to their family, their friends, maybe the children they raise, the relationships they have, etc. It affects people massively. There's this thing in psychology called motor neuron mimicry, where we unconsciously mimic actions of people around us. And if we see enough lack of trust, if we see like a lot of anger, etc., we kind of think, well, all these people are doing these things, therefore it must be okay just to do them. Everyone else is doing them, so it's fine. And it spreads like a wildfire. It's just so bad. But then at the same time, with positive characteristics, it's the same. It's the same. If you're optimistic, if you're caring, if you're a good friend, it has effects on other people. And I've realised ever since I've become more self-confident, I've had a lot bigger impact on other people. And more so, the closest people around me in my life have had a huge impact on me, which I never had before when I wasn't self-confident. I owe the people around me so much to my character, to who I am today. It's so important. And I hope you realise that. Realise that, crap, actually, my actions and lack of actions have more of an impact than I think. I have a responsibility to those around me. And even if you don't have people that you even care about around you, we're going to talk about how to get those people, because you may feel like, I just don't have anyone in my life who I really, really care about. Okay, that's it. That's it. I just don't. So, all of this crap that you've just said has no meaning to me. I hope you enjoyed this. This is the introduction to the channel. I spent quite a few years thinking about a lot of these things with a good friend of mine as well, who's helping me out. So I'm going to be discussing way more topics. I'm going to probably do, another video on this, maybe like an hour and a half long, because this is a topic that needs a lot of detail, and there's probably a lot of questions and a lot of doubts that you've had in there about some of the logic that I've said. But we're going to go into more detail, because as I said, it's a complex issue, and thus it can't be solved in 15-20 minutes. But yeah, if you have any comments about this, if you have any ideas or any topics you'd like me to discuss, please let me know in the comments. And I'm going to leave you with a quote, because some of these famous quotes are from masters of the trade who, have thought about these things for a long time. They've had a lot of experience with it, so they've gone through it all, and they've come up with some insights. So I like to take these quotes. Whenever you're in a dark period, you just think of these quotes, and they're quite powerful. So each time we face our fear, we gain strength, courage, and confidence in the doing. That's from Theodore Roosevelt. And that's the end of this video. Thank you.